again, learning to see by the light of our dreams, kissing the darkest night with laughter. We'll find a way.
We're going to find a way forward together. We're going to find a way to do what we need to do. We're going to find a way to show up. We're going to find a way to make fear-free living the normal set point for how you do life.
So stay right beside me forever now, come what may. We will still believe in love even when we fail. We will still be holding on. When days grow dark with fear, we will find a way. When sorrows touch us here, we will find a way to dry our every tear. We will find a way.
So y'all can come in and share this and consider this your private moment to get a handle on what's eating at you and keeping you from showing up today. I'm glad you're here. And I'm working on my tech. I'm working on my chat. I still have to figure that out. Sandra, if you're out there somewhere, come in and help me. In any event, here we are.
Hand in hand, we explore a vast new land where mountain wings rise to meet the sun. Day by day, climbing higher on our way, we'll touch the sky together when we're done. And there we will stand on the rock of our love, blessed with a sure and ever after. We'll find a way, find a way. We will find a way. We'll stand and view the land of our dreams. We will find a way. Together you and I will find a way. We will find a way.
All right, so we're finding a way every day. This is Fear-Free Living. How are you today? Are you showing up? I guess you're here. I guess if you know you're here, I'm going to ask you to do things that make you uncomfortable so you can actually get over yourself and I can get over myself and we can show up. It's been a crazy week for me. I've had my undercoming moments definitely this week. And I want to talk to you about something bigger than fear. Fear is an all-encompassing feeling because it's part of the body's by design system to keep you safe, to keep me safe in the event of an actual life-threatening event. That's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. But the problem is that your body doesn't really necessarily know the difference between what's real and not real. So it's what's real in here that's going to make the difference. And the thing about fear is that it can easily make us shrink back because we go into these deep places of existential safety and not just momentary discomfort. But we're learning to retrain ourselves to realize, you know what, I feel this thing, but the reality is that I know and I use and I shepherd my brain. Hey there. I shepherd my brain. I shepherd my gray matter. I mind my gray matter. So make sure that I stay in reality. And there's something bigger than fear. You know, there are days when you get up and you go, what I know is bigger than fear. What I have to bring the world is bigger than fear. Who God is in me is bigger than fear. And sometimes it's just plain getting pissed off. It's getting angry at losing. I don't want to get used to losing. Do you want to get used to losing? Do you want to be used to being the person who just slinks away and goes, well, I'm non-confrontational, whatever. I mean, go ahead. And that's the way that I was raised. A lot of us were raised at a time when the value, it was a cultural value, it was a virtue to be what? Nice. Nice was an important virtue. But nice is not kind. And kindness has to do with truth, justice, honor, integrity. But if you were raised to be nice, nice is another word for non-confrontational. Nice is another word for conforming. Nice is another word for, what was the word? Conforming is a word a lot like it. I remember when I was expecting my kids to be nicer than they were, to be more, to more go along with the program of I'm the authority, you should do what I'm telling you to do because of who I am. But you see, we grew up in a time when the policeman, the fireman, the grocery man, the lady down the street, the whoever, the teacher, the lawyer, the candlestick maker, they were authorities, and we were part of a system that regarded authority as always deserving our deference, right? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but what do you do when authority leads you astray? So then we go into the 60s, which is question authority, right? Question all authority, and we go into this major rebellious phase. And then we started learning about what we have to learn about what is righteous authority and what authorities we put ourselves under. And when we recognize authority, how and what authority we carry. You see, in the past, authority was external to us. It was the people out there that had the degrees and the microphones, and they were the professionals, they were the judges, they were the mayors, they were the people with the badges, and the people who stood up in front and kind of told us what to do and how to just comply. That's the word. Comply with, go with the flow. The sad thing, my friends, is along the way we became really rebellious and disregarding authority because in many ways legitimate authority was corrupted in right before our eyes. We were going to comply, and the guy down the street was going to have similar values to mom and dad. And so if, the guy down the street saw you smoking or whatever, he'd pull you in. But now the guy down the street sells porn, in his 7-Eleven or something, right? So there's not a shared community thing. But on top of that, there were many years when it still looked like we were good. It still looked like we could trust authority. And then to come to find out that our authorities were infiltrated, that the people we trusted, our party leaders, that, the people that were supposed to have our interests, were very much infiltrated, and they were part of taking us down and teaching us, how to go along with their agenda, the globalist agenda, Lord, the tax agenda, the go to college and let the teachers teach your kids agenda, the school agenda, which is really, really alarming these days. And we just we trusted farther than we should have. We trusted way farther because it was part of a psychological operation to dumb down Americans and to teach us to lose and teach us to go along. We were taught to be nice. Well, there comes a time when you realize nice isn't going to cut it and you get tired of losing. The question is how we deal with authority. How do we see authority? How do we view authority? And how do we act up against illegitimate authority? And fear, my friends, is an illegitimate authority. And when you've been conditioned to be nice, you get conditioned to lose a lot, to defer, to comply. Well, it's time we learn to win. It's time we learn to crush. It's time we learn to take the ground. It's time we learned to be surprised when we don't win. And I mean win in the kingdom. like when Curry Blake talked about a guy he prayed for who died. And they came to him and said, Curry, you went to see this guy and he died. And Curry's answer was, that's interesting. That's interesting. And he closed the door and he had it out with God. And he said, God, I came here to teach these people about power and authority. And if you're not going to back me up, I'm getting on a plane to go home. And the guy woke up. The guy came back to life. And they questioned Curry and they said, Curry, we came in to tell you the guy died. You didn't say anything. All you said was, that's interesting. They expected him to give a reason, like, oh, well, some people died, win some, lose some, well, healing's a mystery, well, they expected him to move off the mark of who he knew he was, what God had told him he could do, what the authority was. And they said, why, your answer was so interesting. And he looked at them and said, that's because I'm not used to losing. And he means losing battles against the enemy. I want to get there. I want to get to the point where I am absolutely not used to losing battles against fear, against tyranny, against oppression, against evil, against sickness and disease. I'm tired of losing battles against things that God has told me that I have authority over. If he's told me to heal the sick, he doesn't mean try to heal the sick. He means heal the sick. If he told me to cast out demons, he doesn't mean try to cast out demons. He means cast out demons. If he told me I can drink poison and be okay, then I want to walk in that. I want to be like, no, I'm not picking up cyanide caps just to try it out anytime soon. Or if a serpent bites me, I want to shake it off like Paul did and go, he told me, I'm doing it. He told me that greater is he than in me than he in the world. He told me I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of complying. I'm tired of giving up. I'm tired of being nice. I want to win. Don't you want to win? Don't you want to win? Don't you want to be the person who's used to winning against the enemy, who's used to defeating fear, who tramples on serpents and scorpions? So every day you hear squish, crunch, squish, crunch, because you're used to trampling on squishy serpents and crunchy scorpions. Don't you want to be that person? I want to be that person. And fear wakes up and feels so big. But what can be bigger than fear? Winning. Anger. Being angry. You know what Curry Blake said, and John G. Lake said, treat sickness like an enemy. Treat disease like an enemy. Treat death like an enemy. You don't make friends with it. You don't call it into your life and say, come on, come to the living room of my life. Let me define myself by my enemy's view of my body, right? I want to get like that. I want to get to the point where I'm not used to losing and I don't lose, which means that if a battle goes sideways, I am so there the next day to make sure that the final word is Christ. The final word is victory. The final word is, okay, so I went out there, I took some blows, but that ain't it. That ain't it. That is not where it ends. The final word, like the Gadite strategy that Robbie Dawkins used in Aurora, Illinois, was that every time there was a gang murder in that town, he went out, they took teams of people, and they go to the spot where somebody was murdered. And they would wait there and they would pray for people, pray for the sick, release healing, and lead 3 people to Christ on the spot where Satan killed 1, until the murder rate in Aurora, Illinois went to 0. And the police credited the church with doing that. The church they were not supposed to start. The church everyone told them was too dangerous to start. That all the pastors and the ministers and the people said, don't go to Aurora, Illinois. It's dangerous. It's gangland. If you go there, you'll die. And they said, no, that's exactly where we're going right there. And that's where they did it. So, okay, does Satan take a few here and there? Maybe. But maybe we'll get used to him not, because maybe we'll make it too painful for him. Maybe there'll be something bigger on us that's bigger than the fear, that's bigger the intimidation, that's bigger than the feeling, that's bigger the bodily reaction. Maybe it'll be anger. Maybe I'm just sick and tired of complying. Maybe I'm just sick and tired of being nice. Maybe I'm just sick and tired of worried about being bullied, and I want to become the bully. I want to bully the enemy. I want to make him intimidated. I want to make him afraid when I get up. And I get up. But I'll tell you what the biggest issue is for us stepping into those shoes. That's passivity. And I feel it. It's a bigger thing ultimately than obvious fear is passivity, because passivity is what happens when you go out and you see a person who needs prayer, or you have an opportunity to share the gospel, and you feel sort of this deflated thing like, oh, next time. Oh, this is my day off. I don't do that. Oh, today, no. I just want to get my hair done. Why do I have to talk about Jesus? Oh, I prayed yesterday. Oh, I feel tired. I didn't sleep so good. And it passivity is, and that personal purple pit of comfort is way more dangerous than an obvious threat to most of us, because we'll cave. We'll feel tired. We'll feel like we don't want to do it. I shared the gospel yesterday. What's the point? You see a guy with crutches and you're so happy when somebody comes and takes him away before you can pray for him. Because we're not used to winning. Get a little winning in our blood. Get a little taste for victory. Get a little taste of watching a demon go, watching somebody get healed, just because you did it. Did you know the victory's in the doing it? It's like some people will say, well, I tithed, but it didn't work. I gave money to God, but it didn't work. Meaning, I guess I didn't get my big monetary payout within a certain amount of time. If I give this and God's supposed to do that. And the pastor I heard said, did you tithe? Yeah. Well, then it worked. It worked because you did the thing. You went and did the thing. You sowed the seed. You prayed the prayer. You stuck your neck out. You spoke in the name of Jesus. You got up out of bed and told the enemy to go to hell. You stepped on him. You took it back. You went out of your way and said, I'm going to make this dangerous for you. So, okay, he got his licks in. He gets a few licks in. Let's make it hurt. Let's make him pay. Let's get a taste for winning in our mouths. Let's get pissed off. Let's get angry. Let's get tired of being the compliant, nice people in the room who let him walk all over us and let him have our culture. And I believe there's a way for you to do it. There's a way for you to fight it. There's a way for you to be heard. There's a way for you to stand up. There's a way for you to kick some, you know what, in the spirit. And it's bigger than the fear. It's bigger than the fear. It really is. It really is. That's what I'm thinking about. Yesterday was a rough day for me. Why? Because it was so awful and I got attacked? No, it was like the deflated balloon syndrome. Just, never mind. I didn't want to win in God anyway. Oh, I'm so tired. And you know what? When I think about that, I think, what a waste. But I'm back. I'm back today. Hey, I'm back today. I'm doing the thing. I'm facing the page. I've got some work God is gifted me to do that I'm doing behind the scenes to shake things up, to teach myself how to win. Did you know you have to learn to win? Did you know you have to learn to win? Because if you're used to losing and used to being nice, it feels strange. Did you know if you've been taught to do the wrong thing, it doesn't feel good to do the right thing? Did you know that? I learned that one day when I was dealing with codependency. And I was used to being the compliant kid who took care of the alcoholic in the family and made everybody happy and tried to fix things. And, I would people please and I would try to encourage everyone with my build-up gifts, which you guys know that I have. And when I realized that I was enabling by using all my strengths to enable a sick situation, and the first time I ever did the right thing, which was not to buy in, not to comply, not to go along with that system and say, no, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. You need help. No, you can't drive me in that state. No, you can't have this responsibility to take care of this other person because you're not safe. Little Julie Lavender from Bakersfield, California, with high compliance and niceness, does the right thing for the first time in her adult life. And I'll tell you what, it felt like shit. It felt awful. I felt shame. I felt terror. I felt like I was cut adrift on a sea of not knowing and not being secure. It felt like everything in me was saying, no, go back and take care. Go back and comply. Go back and be nice. That's what you're used to. That's what they're used to. That's your role. Until you get sick and tired of losing and sick and tired of the long-term fallout of living like a loser, living like a nice person, living compliant, living passive, and using all of your great strength gifts to enable 6 situations and avoid dealing with what you're weak in. And for me, it was boundaries and knowing my truth. And I don't mean my truth separate from God's truth. Obviously, it's God's truth saying, Julie, I don't treat you this way. That's not how I see you. I don't think alcoholism is okay in a Christian home. I don't think it's okay for one person to use power like that with another person and another person to manipulate. No, you don't have to live like that. It felt terrible. But when I realized that feeling terrible can be the best possible thing when you have to learn a skill that you've never learned, it made sense. And that's what I want you to think about. Something bigger than being afraid. And it's going to be what happens in here. And our biggest foe is going to be the passivity of doing what we've always done because it's easier to do. And we feel so tired. Have you ever noticed that when you go, do you know what it's like to feel that, oh, it's so, I don't know. Like you get ready to do a big change in your life. You get ready to confront. It would happen every time I would say I wanted to perform somewhere, and I would start to feel the anxiety setup of performance anxiety. One of the strongest messages that would go through my body is, it's a lot of work to sing. Wow, the work I have to go through to deal with the fear and the anxiety, it's not worth it. Why don't I just stay home? Why don't I just cancel that gig? Why don't I just use some cute little excuse to get out of that? Because I can find a way to kind of just cancel. And that it's so much effort message is another form of self-sabotage, passivity message to teach you to go be nice, to teach you to lose, to go back into your prison and stay exactly the way you were. What if something bigger comes along? What if we get pissed off? What if we get angry? What if we're sick and tired of living that way and we get mad enough to stop being nice and passive and learn the kind of kindness that says, I'm sorry. This isn't going to feel good for either of us, but I have to walk in truth. Something to think about. All right, you guys. Now I got to go do some more of that stuff and do some more writing. I'm working on my book. And every day, it's hard. I don't want to. It's a lot of effort. Can't I go solve someone else's problem first? Yeah, it's a thing. I'm learning to be brave. I'm going to keep working at it. You are too. So the enemy got in some licks yesterday with me. Now I got to go make him pay. How about you? I think we can do it. So go do something that scares